The largest one being the half-mile-long corridor at the Soledad prison. It's a quarter mile in the maximum security central facility, which has now just been lowered to a level 2, to a medium security prison. But at the time, it was a maximum security. The project involved 10 paid inmates, the first pay numbers for art in the Department of Corrections, and 10 volunteer inmates who wanted to. We gave out early showers. That was one of the benefits that you got from working on. And they got $15 a month, which was about an average pay number in the prison system at the time. The important thing, it broke grounds for the program that I was later able to set up, the Arts and Corrections program. That's all that, for music, drama, literature, poetry, all the arts are set up there.
Oh, wonderful.
When I paint, I and my life are united, they're one. I don't make a separation between the two. So many times what's going on in my life is reflected in my work. And because of that, I worked at the prison for 4 years. I also worked at the Vacaville Psych Ward in the Folsom prison and did the needs assessment for San Quentin prison. And when I got out of the prison, it took me about 4 or 5 years to get back to painting with the human form. I had to work totally abstractly, so I had a time and space series. Mm-hmm. So it's always affected. I'm always affected by what I'm doing.
Now you work as a counselor, I understand?
Yeah, they just gave us a new title, a mental health specialist. I used to be a rehabilitation counselor, but now as of July 1st, we're called mental health specialists. It's kind of a...
So you've worked at this profession throughout your life?
On and off, yeah, on and off different times. I've worked that, I've worked migrant ed, worked juvenile probation. I don't separate art and politics, and I don't separate my politics from my art, so consequently, it all comes together. Mm-hmm. And my own spiritual development is also there. See, I don't paint to sell it right away. I paint first the piece and then try to sell it. Obviously, I like somebody to buy it, and that's not. I have to be responding to something.
So do you see the importance of an artist that goes through these transformations? From approach, style.
Sure, and I don't think what I try to avoid is painting the same thing over and over again. I mean, you imagine then you become a factory. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in becoming a factory. I'm not interested in being a manufacturer of paintings.
What is art?
Art for me is life. It's a kind of a dance that it's the river which all things flow from. It's all these things. It's all connected. It's all things connected through art. Art connects everything up. Mm-hmm. For me, that's what art is.
What's the role of the artist, do you feel?
To challenge the viewer, to make the viewer think, to ask the question, and not try to answer questions for people, not try to decorate.
Mm-hmm. So is that pretty much the function of art?
That's really the function of art for me. Mm-hmm. A mural is an epic poem that does that function. And it's a rhythm in the wall that does that, and that's what the. Mm-hmm. So the mural is the epic side of it. Then I have the other side of me is these very small collages that I show in Paris at Caroline Perega. Mm-hmm. And they're very small. And it's fine too.
Do you have any favorites among your works?
I do them and then they're done. Mm-hmm. And the process of doing them is what. There's ones that I relate more to than the others, and there's something that may reflect upon a certain time in my life that may bring up certain feelings. Something like that.
Are you okay with letting your work go?
Oh yeah, I don't have any problem with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
I get calls periodically, or I get a letter or something from someone who's trying to take me down. They got a painting through an ant or something left in this or something like that. I never know. A lot of times I don't know where things go, where they end up. And it's kind of fun to find out, something maybe ended up in Youngstown, Ohio, or Miami, Florida, or something. You never know where they're going to go. Mm-hmm. Because especially in a town like this, if you're showing in a town like this, you have so many people coming from so many different places. You never know who's going to call you up.
Right.
Say, hey, can I see your work? Or can I buy something?
Now, do you do commission work? Is that something that,
I do commission work if I have control, a certain amount, so I have control over it, yeah. I
creative?
don't do commission work. Somebody said, I need, if a decorator called me up and they said, here's the swatches, I need this to match the couch. I don't think I'm too good at that sort of thing. They might put the swatches in the painting, Interesting. Here's part of the couch, you can stick it up there, I think this is the right-hand corner of the painting may match the couch.
What artists in the area do you know that and like their work?
Well, I have a great respect for Janet DiGesso, Victor DiGesso, Virginia Conroy, Joan Savo. I did a whole show just recently, a tribute to all the older artists. I was very fortunate, I was very fortunate. I worked in the art supply store in high school. I got to meet all the artists when I was a kid. I ate lunch with them in the rings. I still eat lunch with them. Every Wednesday we have this lunch. We still do the same conversation, but anyway, it's there. It's kind of a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Ritual is important.
When we were talking to Kent Seavey, he was saying that it's important to not only study the artist's work, but their lives.
Right, and that, to understand the artists is to understand their lives and their art. And when I do my art history lectures, and that's something that it's very important to understand the artist's lives as well as the work and what's happening at the time, the social and political events at the time that help create that, and the inventions, the connections. It's a really important part.
Now some of the older artists that we're doing is Gordon Newell. You know Gordon Newell?
Gordon very well. Gordon and I are old friends. We go back to the old days on Canterville in the Sculpture Center, and I and a couple other people we had a thing across from Calisa's where the new aquarium's tank is being built. We had the 1966, 67, we had the Monterey Institute of Visual Poetics, a very elaborate name. We had also the Artists Against the War in Vietnam was held there for the Central California. Mm-hmm. And that's that sort of thing. So Gordon, I've known Gordon for a good many years. I had worked with Arch Garner, the sculptor, in '63, and he and Gordon were old friends, and I met Gordon that time too. But we always had this Canterville connection.
Mm-hmm. What do you like about his work?
For me, Gordon Newell probably comes the closest to being the coast. Somebody said, "What is the coast?" To see Gordon Newell's work in a gallery doesn't do it justice at all. You have to see it in nature, in its setting on the coast, usually on the coast. Or I suppose down in Darwin in the desert would be another place too. But it's in it's a kind of sculpture that really has to breathe a lot of space around it, and so
much like the butterfly at Lover's Point.
Has to be in its context. That it's
not. If I were a young person and I came to you and I said, Dick, I want to be an artist, but my parents think I'm absolutely crazy to even think about being an artist, what would you say to me?
I'd say you're absolutely crazy, but go ahead and do it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, you're crazy. I can't. I never had any students, and when I taught for Hartnell, or I taught for NPC, or I teach for UC Santa Cruz Extension. I teach Latin American art history, and I guarantee you nothing. There are no guarantees in this. You may work a lifetime and have nothing to show for it in terms of great financial gain or rewards from the public. There's no guarantee the public's going to like your work. There's a certain formulas you can do that'll guarantee that you'll sell something, but if you want to be an artist, you want to get in touch with that part of you, the artist part of you. You can't ask the public to say, hey, this is wonderful, let's support this guy, it's wonderful. So, it's not going to happen. It's a reality.
Do you think that if more artists became political, that we wouldn't see the shortage in the schools in terms of the arts?
Well, I was a spectral artist in Santa Cruz County. I was the Artists in Schools program in Santa Cruz County. Santa Cruz County had the model program, which is used throughout the state for cultural councils. And it's because they didn't have a lot of organizations competing against each other. There was a great need there. The artists have to come together. The artists have to get politically savvy. The artist can't sit back in an ivory tower and wait for the world to do something for them. It's not going to happen. The world isn't waiting to find them. You know, nobody's running around making great discoveries anymore. It's not there.
Yeah, I've covered all mine. Do you have a question?
Okay, yeah, you can address your answer, still talk to Marie, but if you wouldn't mind, talk a little bit about Bruce Harris. I know you know Bruce, and about his mural work, and maybe a little bit about the Cannery Row mural project.
Bruce Harris is one of my oldest friends. I don't know, 20 some odd, 30 years, whatever. And Bruce really embodies an institution. And if anybody's Cannery Row, it's Bruce. Some say, what painter is Cannery Row? Bruce. He really took on the term in the 30s, regionalism, and made it his own local statement. But he's also saw, again, a connection with life. His life was an art form. His house, unfortunately, before it burned, was an art. It's definitely a reflection of his art form. It's real important that, and one of the reasons I did that show, Bruce was part of it, that we don't forget that generation. There's a generation now that's selling very well, it's very hot in the marketplace, that's getting museum spaces and things like that, which were very good painters. Armin Hansen, John O'Shea, William Mitchell, Charles McFortune, but the generation that came just after them, or was caught in between them, seems to get caught, they kind of get overshadowed and forgotten. I'm glad to see this is happening. That's real important. Mm-hmm. Carmel is not an art colony. Henry Miller had a great line for art colony. He said, only ants dwell in art colonies. That's and so this is never, you know, this kind of business that was sold as an art colony is kind of fun, but it's a good marketing scheme.
Could you talk a little bit about the Cannery Row mural project and maybe the mural that you did, and you know, just generally about the project?
Yeah, the Cannery Row mural project was Bruce's idea. Bruce and I work entirely different styles. You know, we're just two different generations. But philosophically, we're very close. When Bruce asked me what I wanted to do for the mural, I said, "Gee, Bruce, I don't know. I sit on Cannery Row. I have my studio then it was right on Cannery Row, sitting across from the hotel." So the Japanese company had just purchased the lease on the hotel, and I was thinking of that. And so my theme was Cannery Row is a Japanese golf course. So I got aerial shots from my friend Pat Hathaway and the coastline and stuff, and followed that very carefully, and proceeded to make Cannery Row a Japanese golf course. When the city came to pick up the mural, they were very upset because this major transaction had just occurred, and there's lots of taxes involved and stuff. They thought they'd be offending the Japanese to say this. So Bruce and I sat down and said, okay, we'll throw something on top of this. Some kind of steamer basket or something like that. Kind of a style, so we did. So if you look closely underneath my mural, you'll see a Japanese golf course.